Hello, everybody. It's Ian Benolio from Number Cruncher and Order Time. Hope everybody's keeping safe as we go through this thing together. And basically, we want to keep the lines of communication open and create a dialogue where you can ask your questions. Some questions that you may have. About the system, about how to use the system. It's kind of an open Q&A. But I want to kind of take some opportunity to continue on a couple of weeks ago. We went through some of the new options and new features and improved and fixes that we did in the latest release, which is 1.0.27. And if you go to the help, which is this, kind of click over here, and you can see release notes, and then these are all the release notes that we do. So we always kind of show you, what we've done. Now, from time to time, we do hot fixes, and the hot fixes kind of come in. Unbeknownst to you guys, and usually after a big build like 1.27, where we add a lot of features, we kind of do a little bit of hot fixing just to clean up some of the things. One of the things that we added recently on a hot fix is, and it's kind of still beta, but the ability to one of the things that a lot of our customers were asking for is the ability to email your templates in a batch, so you don't have to do it one at a time. And we listened, and so we added that, and so it's fairly straightforward. It's just like you have the batch actions over here where you can change status and you can create your PDFs. Now we added another batch status over here called send email. And you just kind of have to check one or more of your ship docs and then click the emails, and you'll get this dialog, which basically will ask you so you can do more than one at the same time. You filter your list, and all the emails that are getting sent out, which is just this one over here, I'm going to pick one template and one form template. That's really all I need, because everything else is already in either the email template or the form template in terms of the data. So I can go ahead and send that, and just like other batches, it takes a few seconds to do it. So that's it. So I can do multiple emails, multiple ship docs, multiple sales orders, anything that I would like. Come in here and click on send email to send everything in a batch. Okay. All right. Now, talking about emails, one of the other things that we're beta testing, and right now it's a hidden preference. So sometimes you're familiar with company preferences. Sometimes we put in a hidden preference so we can kind of, lay it out to some people that may want to try using kind of in a beta. So this option is in a beta. So you recognize the email templates. What you may not recognize is this little thing right here, which basically says text, and in the past, everything was always text. What we've been asked, though, is to allow people to use HTML. All right, so we've added that now, and so now you have basically a WYSIWYG HTML editor that you can basically, do exactly what you would want, including putting bolds, but you can still use, all these properties right? You can still use all the properties kind of drag in here as well still. But now it gives you the opportunity to kind of have a neater things. You can even add kind of an image, a video, you know, if you wanted to there. Okay. And so that, you know, I saved that. So that was, you should see a column over here that says type. I'm sorry, not that type. Format, sorry, the format. So now you'll see the format, and this one is HTML. Right, so that's one is HTML over there. All right, so that's the quote. All right. So let's now go to a quote, and we'll see. Just open up any quote and send off an email. And so the same thing. I'm just going to do the email here, and I want to pick quote 2. Okay, so you can see here that now it's HTML, and I can continue editing, and again HTML as well. So for you guys that know a little bit of HTML, you can also switch to code view as well. Okay. So that's a neat feature. If you want us to turn that preference on for you, go ahead and send us an email to support, and we'll turn it on for you so you can test it. Okay, very good. So now that kind of the couple of things that we just added in the hotfix pretty recently. A couple of things with the B2B. So as you know, that one of the big things that we worked on is the B2B Portal, and a couple of questions were asked in terms of, can I have a customer allowed to register themselves? That was one of the questions, and the other question was, more flexibility in terms of shipping. So again, we listened, and so we've added a couple of options now in the portal. Okay, so here, when you allowed a customer to self-register, we're going to create them as a lead. Okay, the only thing you need to do is make sure that you provide a default term, and we would say that we suggest to you that your default term should be that they have to put in their credit card to order. Okay, so in terms of the terms, as you know, you can drive what happens in the B2B portal by virtue of the terms. So, for example, if I have a net 30 terms for a customer, then we're not going to pop up a payment form. We're just going to ask them for a PO number. Right? But if we have pay on order over here, then this is full payment on order. We're going to ask for a credit card. Okay, and they're not going to be able to put in the order unless they put in the order. So, in terms of setting up your portal, we suggest that you have that, so they just don't, because they probably don't have any credit with you at that point. And so that's that. The other thing that we had here, in terms of, we go to the account, we've added kind of the shipping options now, where we can use the ship methods, the carrier accounts, and the carrier accounts, if you have that enabled, basically we go to your account in UPS or FedEx or United States Postal Service, and we can get the negotiated rates and show them. And then the final option is shipping will be calculated after the order is received. Okay. So any one of those we can do. All right, so I'm going to refresh my portal, and when I do that, now I'm going to have this thing right here where it says register, and your now a lead can register themselves and sign in and start to put in and search for orders and stuff like that. Okay. In terms of the shipping now, it'll go right to, and you'll see this thing, shipping will be calculated. So the shipping, kind of a message here. So now, we have that ability as well. A question that I had is a little while ago, someone asked, want to filter it by categories. You got to make sure that your categories are assigned to items. Okay, you got to make sure your categories are assigned to the items. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to show you. What we've kind of been working on a little bit. On that, we've also, just to let you know, we expect to have another version of the mobile ready very shortly, within a week or so, and we added kind of the second phase of the pick, pack, and ship, which is, we've already done the pick, so you can pick a sales order, and then we're adding pack. So the ship or pick is basically you take a sales order, you pick it, it creates the ship doc, and pack, you check out the ship doc, and you confirm all the items going into packages. All right, so that's something that we're working on right now. So expect to get an email on that in the coming weeks. All right, let's take a look at a couple of questions here. Right, so the question was, can we do multiple customers of a ship doc at the same time? As long as they're using the same, as long as you're sending out the same templates, you can check as many as you want. As long as they're using the same email template and form template, they'll go all at once. Okay. The OT will pull the email. So the question was, when I send out a batch shipment, how does OT figure out who to send it to? The first thing we look at is the contact. All right, if the contact has an email, we'll use that. Right? The second thing we look at is the billing email right here on the sales order. And the third thing, and if this is also, we'll just do it to both, actually. Okay. So we'll add it to both. So if we see a billing address or a billing email, we'll send it to that, and we'll also send it to the shipping address. Okay. So we look at the contact first. If that is blank, then we go to one of these emails. Okay. So Get Orders asks how to put a sales order on hold until the customer decides to release it. This is different from the credit hold. All right, so I guess you're saying, how do I commit stock without actually having to ship an order? So for that answer, I like to go to my help and look at my sales cycle, and so we can understand, what's happening in terms of the inventory. When I create a sales order, we do record some things, but really the inventory is committed or allocated and kind of not available when a ship doc is created. Now, a ship doc can just sit there. It doesn't have to. It can just sit there in some kind of a status, maybe will call status, or you can create a custom status that just is just, you know, waiting for customer pickup or something like that, and just leave it in a kind of committed status until you're ready to ship it out and create the invoice. Okay. So really the answer to your question is that immediately after creating the sales order, if you want to commit that stock, you create a ship doc and you put it into a certain status that you know that you want to kind of hold it until the customer says. Another idea in terms of the inventory is you can also, if you just want to kind of put the sales order in a waiting status, you can also without reserving the stock, you can also customize your statuses to create, you know, waiting for customers. So if I go to the admin section over here, all right, familiar with the admin, I just click on my company name on top, and then I have doc statuses. I can create as many doc statuses as I want, right? So if I wanted to create a ship doc status, and I just kind of put that, and then I usually like to say that it's released. All right, so I can, and then I can move that status up depending. So this is kind of does it in kind of numeric order or in this order as we see the statuses. So that is that. Any other questions? Let me see here. Let's just go through some of the other things. I don't know if you saw a little bit early on, I was talking about the release notes. So let's take a look at, you know, kind of some of the things that we did add recently that I didn't really talk about a lot. And so one of the things that I did speak about was kind of inputting lot numbers or lot or serial numbers into when you receive or you do it for a sales order or a ship doc or anything like that, especially when you receive. That's a good error. Take that error off. That error I just got is basically I tried to add something to a purchase order or to a receiver that wasn't on the purchase order, and that's why I got that error. That's all I'm doing now. I know a lot of people use lot numbers. So the two things that we kind of added, we had the import, and if you copy these columns over here, so, you know, the question is, how do I import? What is the template? So the template that you use to import is the list of lot numbers on the detail of the line item. So if you export this grid over here, you basically have what you can use to import into the system as well. All right, so that handy feature, if you have a lot of lot numbers, is really a good idea. And then you can also auto number. So if you're receiving and you're assigning your own lot numbers, then you can also auto number them as well. Especially this is great for serialized inventory. So if I wanted to create 5 in one shot, it just boom, 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 it just adds them all without me having to do a lot of information. So that kind of was talking about the iOS app, and you know, we have the video here. I was saying that right now we have the ability to check out a sales order and pick from the bins. The next thing we're doing is check out a ship dock and put it into packages, like in the QC type of thing. So whatever's been picked goes into the box. So that's coming out. You know, probably have it on the App Store either this weekend or the following weekend. Alrighty. Is there any other questions on, you know, it's an open Q&A, so by all means, you know, I can kind of go through some of the other things that we've added.
There's a question, number 36 on the patch notes shows the totaling for can make on kits. Can you talk about that totaling?
The totaling of can make for kits. Basically, if on the item list, a kit is made up of different components, right? So, you know, a kit has to have, if you want to ship complete the entire kit, then every single one of these should be in stock, right? Based on whatever quantity per. What the can make says is that I can make, based on all the components of my kit, 6 full kits of this. Okay. And the reason we did that is because, especially on the e-commerce integration, when you update the inventory on your website and your item is a kit, it'll always show as 0, or the item is a bill of materials and you don't have any in stock because you make to order, it will show 0. However, you can make it, right? You have enough components to make it. So the combination of can make and this thing here, when we update inventory to your e-commerce integration, we can include that, the can make. So we say whatever is in inventory plus can make. And so that way your kits will not show as 0. They'll show as exactly how much they can make based on the components. Yeah. Yeah. That's a very powerful feature there. Okay. And yeah, so the Android definitely is, in terms of, the question is, in terms of our mobile, are we planning to do Android? Yes, automatic. Yes, absolutely. We decided, because iOS is and Apple are much stricter and it's more complex to develop the iOS app. We kind of want to take it to, you know, to a certain point in iOS and have all those things worked out in the iOS, which again is more complicated, and then it would take a lot shorter because basically the code is done and the templates are done. We just have to port it to Android at that time. So I would say something like that. You know, we'll start working that in the 3rd quarter. Hopefully start working on the Android. Okay.
One more thing was just about the image overhaul in general, asking about adding bunches of images to items and the company logos.
Okay. Right. So I don't know if so one of the things that we did go through is improvement on the serving of the images. So the images are stored in AWS, and you know, for security, those links expired, but we kept on going to get it even if it wasn't expired. So we changed that, so we only get a new image when it's expired, so the lists load faster now. In addition, people wanted to be able to have a better dialogue in terms of being able to, you know, before it was just one at a time. So now I can basically just open that up and you know, start adding whichever image, you know, I want to add, right? Okay. So that's that for images. And of course I can show, you know, one of the purposes that we did multiple images is so when you have the B2B, you know, you have this dialogue here where you can kind of show multiple images at the same time. Okay. And also through the API, you know, there's some companies that store images on our site, and they kind of get them through the API, and they can serve them on their website as well, their website. And then similarly, in terms of the company information, one of the kind of the sticking points is a lot of companies run multiple brands out of the same company file, and so we wanted to kind of offer a way that they can modify their brands on their templates at will. And that goes all the way into the B2B as well. So I can add this you know, image over here, as many logos as I want, basically. And then in the templates, in the form templates, when I'm designing my form templates, we can go to the design tab and then select an alternate logo. All right, so that enables you to have multiple, you know, so you can have one template with different colors and stuff like that. All right, so that's that. Now also, that also extends to the portal. And so you can have multiple portals. You could have multiple portals. Each portal can have, again, its own logo. That's how easy that is. This question is: can we allow edit custom fields on the cloud? We have that as a case already created. Need a batch export for images, so we can use OT as a catalog. So we need a batch export of images, so we can use. Okay, I mean, all right. So the question, there's two questions here. One of them was, can we use editing custom fields on a closed ship doc? And that's something that, yeah, we're going to do that. That's something that we have on we created. You just know how we work. When we create a case, we don't have that feature. We're happy to add it to our what we call case, you know, caseload, or our bug tracker. Basically, bug tracker is also used for new features and improvements. So that would be added as in the future. We did have the ability now to add images to reports, and so really you can, if you wanted to, create a catalog of items with their images, right? And I believe you're gonna have to bear with me on this one because I haven't really tried. If you know how to use the reports, basically you can use the reports. But the question is, which field do you add if I want to add an image? And so I think if all you have to do is add the image ID, and you should be able to get the image as well. Let's take a look. There it is. Yeah. Wow. Some of those images. Well, let me just customize that and do a filter. I just want to show where the image ID is not equal to 0. Because if it's equal to 0, that means it doesn't have an image. No, it's not. Okay.
Yeah, you're just trying to get people to read.
So now, of course, we don't really expose the URLs because they're kind of secret. We build, the way we build these, but you could use the API if you wanted to get kind of a full list of images. You could use the API to get all those images. But the reports now, you can print images. Just remember that if you want the image from the images table, you put the ID. Just remember that. Need to consolidate duplicate drill down work orders and make the components.
No, use that.
Right. So the question is, it's a very specific question, so I'm gonna kind of go in a little bit of detail. The question is a bill of materials, and this is for a nested bill of materials. In other words, that you have one bill of materials that contain another bill of materials and potentially another bill of materials. Okay, and when you create a top level bill of materials, so kind of the highest level that has all the kind of sub-assemblies or sub-bill of materials underneath of it, we have a function called Drilldown that we could create all the subsequent bill of materials. However, you may want to aggregate or consolidate the bills of materials, so maybe the drill down is not the right thing to use. Maybe the thing to use is the reorder analysis, okay? Is the reorder analysis, but to use the purchasing reorder analysis. And I don't know if you know how that works, but basically what you can do is show me either you can use this one, the required, okay, or the deficiency, and that will aggregate specifically this one over here. I even think it creates the dependency where it will aggregate the work orders and consolidate that into one work order for all the work orders that may need that component. Okay, so you should probably use the reorder analysis for aggregating work orders. Whereas the drill down is specific to a specific work orders, the reorder analysis aggregates the demand from multiple work orders or multiple sales orders or whatever, and gives you what you'll need to build and creates, and can also create the work orders for you. So in this particular case, it's suggesting, crazy amount here. So I go, I can just put the quantity, but actually an order has already been created. Let me rerun this. So this aggregates all the work orders. Oh, no, I don't need any work orders. How about that? So that would aggregate all the work orders and put them all together in one. Let me remove that filter. And so I can filter by item group or specific items. Right, so this will aggregate all the things, and actually the suggested amount is, you know, what's required. Right? So let's just do that one and see what happens. All right, so the order was created, and you can see I can create all in one, and it creates the dependency because I use required. That's the key. I use required, and that it also creates the dependency. All right, well, that was a pretty good discussion. I think we got a lot covered. I'm happy that you had such great attendance. I really appreciate your continued support. I want to, as always, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. You simply go to the home screen and click on the support button. Or if you really want to kind of talk to us, we do have an 800 number. It's 866-278-6243. And we do have real people answering the phone. Yep. Did you want to say something? Hold on.
I'll be sending out interactive notes directly following the webinar, including the phone numbers, any support contacts, and the notes from everything you saw here.
Well, yeah.
And we've been recording the webinar.
There's
so
one more.
We'll make sure
There's one more question here. From
question in there.
Web
Yeah,
sales
go ahead.
from. We are a distributor. I get the quote to sales order part, but how can we record the initial customer request? The initial customer request. I'm not quite sure what you mean by initial customer request, but if it's not creating a sales order or it's not creating a quote, the best thing to do would be to go to the activity history and create a log, right? And this is just a free-flowing note. You can create any number of this. And so once you create the customer, you can create a log for that customer, or maybe put it in the notes. And, he wants this and that, etc., etc. So this follows the customer now. Now this is part of the customer notes, and then you can always find out exactly what you've done with that particular customer. The customer is looking for ABC and XYZ. I mean, the basic thing is if the customer is looking for something that's in inventory, then the best thing to do is to go to your inventory list. So if you go to inventory, you can now, start typing in the item. Right now, I have a lot of inventory of this product, but there's all the kind of the inventory for that particular product. And the best thing to do maybe is consider this, so we can eventually I'm going to put kind of the active carts as a tab in the customer. So if you do have B2B, then you might see a new tab or some kind of a note here or a widget that says customer is working on a specific cart, and So that way you can follow up with that customer and maybe help them complete their purchase. Okay, the email question is, we send tracking emails. Can we just send an email template without a form template? Ooh. That's a good one. Didn't even think about that. That's good. I guess we can. I guess what we can do is, it shouldn't be a problem. We just have to change the code slightly to make this not required. So obviously we need an email template, but we may not need a form template. In that case, you know, it just sends it without an attachment. Yeah, we can probably do that. I'll make sure that's the case. And for now, I guess we can just send you know, a copy of the template for now. But that's a good idea. It's a good idea. Right now this is required, but there's no need for it to be required. If it's not, if it doesn't sing, we'll just send it without the thing. It's a good point. Thank you. Okay. All right. You should see in a couple of days or so, we're going to make this available, this webinar available, so you can view it. If you wanted to see past webinars, you go to our help and you go to videos and guides, and then you can see all the past webinars here. Okay. And we do a webinar every couple of weeks. So if you have if you want us to address a certain topic that we haven't addressed yet, feel free to contact Michael at numbercruncher.com or ordertime.com, and we'd be happy to do that.
Definitely. And I'm going to be sending out some interactive notes. So if you reply to those, you can just give me your suggestions from there.
All righty, folks. Everybody stay safe. Everybody have a great day. Thank you very much for attending.
Have a good one, everybody.